Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about product management and the importance of creativity in this discipline, as well as the major core competencies that will help you move forward with completing your final project. I'm also planning to direct you to some additional resources beyond the research you have to do for your product you select for your final project so that you can kind of get inspiration for what you're working on now and as you move through the program and beyond. So first, when you have some time, check out this TED Talk on where good ideas come from. I think there is a great myth out there perpetuated by the icon of the light bulb representing the good idea that just magically pops up over your head, right? All of a sudden somebody has a good idea. But that's not the case, which is something important for you to know, as you'll see in this video. Good ideas really take a lot of time. And ironically, even though the light bulb represents the good idea, Thomas Edison, you may have heard the quote, said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but I have not failed 700 times. I have discovered 700 ways that won't work. So he tried 700 times to create the light bulb. It was not just a quote light bulb moment for him. Okay. So things take a lot of time. And one of the sources that I'd like to direct your attention to in terms of good ideas is the idea of open innovation. Okay, an example that the speaker uses in this TED Talk is a bicycle. Okay, the hybrid bike. I have a hybrid bike, and I think that this sticks with me because most of us have experience with a bicycle, right? My bike is it's a bike that I got at Costco. It's not a fancy street racing bike or anything that I would, take fearlessly onto a mountain. But if I happen to get into the grass in my neighborhood or something like that, then I feel pretty safe about it. So the bike, it turns out, you'll find out in this video, is developed and invented by bikers, by people who use bicycles regularly, by the users. And that's an example of open innovation, okay? And this is happening across industries. So take a look at this website. I'd like you to become familiar with this as product managers and looking at how trends are shaping your industry. So my industry is education, but that is not your industry. So opensource.com. So what open source is open source innovation. This is a website that's constantly updated. It's a great resource just to figure out what trends are affecting your products, your industry, your competitors' products. And it's people working together towards the common good to make the world just generally a better place by sharing ideas and figuring out, everybody has the same mission of solving certain problems, right? Lots of software is developed this way. Classic example of the best open source website that we've all used is Wikipedia. People are contributing to that for free just to make the world a better place. It's fantastic. Recipes.com, you can get all kinds of recipes using open source innovation. So this is one example and one way of where good ideas come from. Okay, so here you have some of the latest and greatest examples of open source innovation, and they come from across industries. Here you go on hardware and engineer. Permissive license, some stuff you'll get into in law. Okay. Growing at the university, that's an education one. So let's see what's happening over here. What I learned while editing Wikipedia, right? So that's an example. Tracking New York City rats with open data, keeping the internet. So open source innovation is solving a lot of really unusual problems and is really moving things forward in lots of ways. So keep this website kind of on your radar in terms of where good ideas come from. All right, and as a project and as a product manager. Tiny circuits tells you who's doing what and how to do it. Okay. All right. So something else about open source innovation. It's entrepreneurial. Okay. Product management. What's cool about product management is you get to be an entrepreneur, but you're still working within your company. Okay. So it's a piece of business or a brand or a company service line or a line of brands that you are responsible for as a product manager. It's like your own little kind of kingdom or dominion within a company that you're in charge of. So it's like being a CEO of just one area or one product, and you're responsible for that competitive advantage. And there's certain core competencies that people will be looking at you for, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So it's pretty cool that you can have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit, but yet you have the safety net and it's a little bit lower risk. And I think about this frequently, this example, and where my mind kind of shift as I got more into the idea of product management. When I was a sophomore in college, I had this chemistry professor that told us all that he invented Crayola washable markers. And he was really kind of bitter and upset about it because Crayola did not credit or compensate him in the way that he felt that they should have. So our class of sophomores in this chemistry class was like really on his team, completely felt that Crayola, had just done him a disservice and done him wrong. And it wasn't fair at all. How could Crayola do that? But, when you think about it from the product management perspective, right? Um, he was in charge of his product line, and he really did what he was charged to do, right? He was an intrapreneur, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. But he was kind of an entrepreneurial product manager. He used the labs, right? He used the test tubes and the dyes and the, probably other people in his team, probably lots of other people, copy paper, even, whatever else is involved in making washable markers. There's probably a lot that goes into that. And really that was his job at Crayola, right? He was a research and development chemist. So they charged him with doing research and developing new products, which he did. So this is where the idea of having an intrapreneurial spirit comes in. It's what companies want and what you really want to have as a product manager. And intrapreneurial is spelled INTRA, preneurial. So it's being an entrepreneur within a bigger company. And I'll show you a great website to kind of keep up on what's happening in the world of entrepreneurship. And that's the Entrepreneurship Institute. Okay, so there are books and resource seminars and so forth. But you can see that Apple Computer and the Macintosh team is known as a great entrepreneurship team. That whole back to the garage, like literally back to the garage kind of a mentality, where they still, of course, were working for Apple, but they put all that aside and had that spirit of entrepreneurs, right, within the company. So something to think about for, do you have that spirit? If you do, then you would be a great candidate for a product manager. All right, so you don't have, as a product manager, direct authority. So that really makes it difficult to make a lot of things happen. So you have to rely on a lot of other skills that you would have as an artist manager, such as interpersonal skills. Um, you're responsible not for your whole company, but for your product. Okay. So it's a really tricky and fine line to walk, integrating all of those different people and products and other teams and politics that are at play. And so it's an unusual job, but it's just the right thing if you have that kind of inkling to be an entrepreneur, but not sure you're going to completely branch out on your own. All right, so core competencies. These are the core competencies. There's 5 of them. Think of it like that artist manager's wagon wheel that we've talked about before, that has to balance each stakeholder, right? So in the world of the product manager, you are balancing each of these core competencies, okay? First of all is driving business results. This is key, and this is what everyone's going to be looking at. It's very measurable. Is your product making money for the business? You have to understand here, you have to understand strategy, finance, planning. What are the commercial opportunities for your product? The SWOT analysis that maybe you have done in the past, this is where it would come into play here as a product manager in this core competency. What are the trends affecting this product? On pages 114 and 115 of your product manager's field guide, the text for this class, there's an exercise called Trends A to Z, okay? And it lists 26 trends in alphabetical order from A to Z that could affect your product or your industry, right? And you'll look at them and you'll think, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. But I really challenge you to sit down and think about how each one of them could possibly apply to you, because any trend could, in some strange world, impact your product or your business. It may be more obvious and it may be less obvious. And the example, I did this exercise for my own self. I own an educational theater company, and the O trend, O stands for obesity anxiety. And it turns out that obesity anxiety is a trend that does impact my business because adolescent females are hesitant sometimes about getting up in front of their peers or in front of a group of people because of body image issues. So that is a trend that I have to consider, which I wouldn't have thought about until I read that and had my product in action and thought about that. So these are some of the things that you really want to be thinking about in terms of the driving business results. You also have to think about how the corporate direction is integrated. Make sure that it's in line with your company, right? With the company's mission. This is where you establish your targets, your milestones, forecasts for sales and pricing. It's an exercise really in project management and finance, and it's all up to you as the product manager. You have to look at your cost drivers. What's your product physically made of that drives the cost, and where does it come from? An example is that many of our electronics that are produced, that we use here and across the world, are produced with a mineral called tungsten. Okay, tungsten is mined in Africa, in Central Africa, with a great deal of conflict around getting to this mineral and access to the natural resources that are needed to make. It's a product that is used to keep our computers and our cell phones and our televisions and so forth from getting too hot. Okay, so it's important to know what's happening in those parts of the world and how you are accessing the elements that you need to make your product. So you have to know a lot of detail and big picture issues, including who will buy this product. You'll definitely be willing to take anyone's money, but the smart product manager will pre-qualify customers, okay? So think of pre-qualifying not necessarily in the same way that you would with buying a house, but think of it as a way to narrow down your target market, okay? So not everybody's going to be interested in an underwater nanotechnology action camera, for instance, okay? Not everyone will be interested in that. But if you target scuba divers and filmmakers, that would be a good way to pre-qualify customers, okay? So delivering results through people. Now, although everybody will look at your bottom line, and that's going to be, out there, very visually and visibly measurable, in terms of the competency we just talked about in driving business results, I believe that the competency of delivering results through people is the most important and the greatest challenge to a product manager. Okay. This is the same skill that makes an artist manager successful, and it's those interpersonal skills that we've talked about. So can you learn interpersonal skills? You can take a moment and pause this presentation if you like and think about that for a minute. Can you learn them? The answer is yes, you can. So it's not easy, it's not comfortable, but if you're not one of those people that it comes naturally to, you can learn them, and you have to, because nothing that you accomplish is really done alone, right? You have to lead upwards, downwards, and sideways. So that means your bosses, that means people who work for you and your peers. So which is the hardest to lead, do you think? Leading upwards, sideways, or downwards? And sideways or downwards. You can pause again here and come up with your answer. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just your personal opinion, but I'll tell you what most people think. Most people say it is hardest to lead sideways, to lead their peers. And usually the feedback I've gotten on this is that people don't want to come off the wrong way as bothersome, right? So a resource I usually recommend here that gives very clear advice on how to deliver results through people is the classic text here by Dale Carnegie. You probably have heard of this, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So it's advertised here as the most popular work of nonfiction of our time. It's published in 1936. It's been put out one edition after another. It's sold 15 million copies. So, and it has very clear, very specific ways to manage this particular product management competency. So think about these carefully. This is a sample of some of the advice from the book. And one of the first things it says, and it's very difficult, think about if you can even do this for one day. I know I've had difficulty. One of the first things it says is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. So that's hard right there. And it goes on to say, give honest and sincere appreciation, become genuinely interested in other people, smile, remember people's names, and that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Avoid arguments. Show respect for others' opinions. Never say you're wrong. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Begin in a friendly way. Start with a question to which the other person will answer yes. I like that one. Dramatize your ideas, appeal to nobler motives, and throw down a challenge. So that's a sampling of some of the things that he gives you as very clear pieces of advice, and there's a lot more in there that give you specific things you can do to master this delivering results through people. Okay. So as for leading upward, definitely solutions oriented and organization is appreciated. Nobody likes it when someone comes to them with a bunch of problems and doesn't have any ideas for a solution, right? So if you notice that there are problems in your organization or with the work that you're doing, definitely try to come up with some solutions. Leading sideways is all about building relationships. Okay, so gaining that network, digging your well before you're thirsty, just like we talked about in artist management. You want to be just like in product management or in artist management, when the biggest compliment someone can say is, he knows everybody or she knows everybody. That's what you want as a product management. When you're leading sideways, you want to have a huge network of people that you can lean on, and developing that vision. Okay, and in leading direct reports, showing interest in people's lives, just like Dale Carnegie recommended there, but providing clear direction, and something that a lot of places don't do, but many studies have shown to be very effective in organizations, is mentoring and coaching. So if there's a way that even in an informal way you can offer mentoring and coaching, it really increases people's engagement in the goals of your organization and in what you're doing. Okay. So some of the things to think about when it comes to delivering results through people. Okay. All right, ensuring market-driven direction, your third product core competency. This product management competency requires a strong understanding of the existing and future customer needs in all of your different territories. So you have access to loads of research here, and this is really where it would come into play. We've talked about using government sites like the Census and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which get quite detailed, as you know. LexisNexis is a great resource that you have access to through the Full Sail library database. Industry trade associations have loads of research to keep up with your market and the competition. And you also have to always be aware of what your competition is doing. Okay, what makes you superior? What's your distinctive competency? So make sure that you use and that you have a ready mix of quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, quantitative research is research that's associated with numbers, and qualitative is more of a story. Okay. I used to work as a project manager raising money for construction of this large scale clinic for the uninsured, and I would share a couple different pieces of information. So the first one was quantitative, and I would tell them that 145,000 people in Orange County don't have health insurance. The next one was qualitative information, and it's a true story of a businessman from Texas who landed in Orlando with chest pain and had to be rushed from the airport to the closest emergency room. He had two forms of insurance, but he couldn't get seen for nearly 2 hours because the emergency room was filled with people without insurance who needed primary care. So he wrote our mayor this very strongly worded letter. And which one do you think got people to open their checkbooks and write a check to support a new clinic for the uninsured? It was actually the airport story. And I'm not sure exactly why that's the case, but that's the case. So maybe it's because it was a story, maybe because it was a little bit dramatic, maybe it's because, the people that I was talking to were also business people and they felt like that could happen to them. Who knows? But either way, both kinds of data are important to have. And as a product manager, you have to figure out which kind of data your market will respond to take action and to buy. And how do you get that data, right? And luckily for you, you have access to a lot of good research. So those are some things to think about when you are looking as a project manager or product manager to ensure market-driven direction and proving that your value is superior. Okay, the fourth product management core competency is guiding fit and function. So think of what else is needed for your product to work, right? Are there cables? Are there other portals? Are there computer systems? Can these things change at any time? You have to know how those products work if they are to work with your product, okay? What do people have to use in order to make your product work? How's it manufactured? How's the inventory of this stuff managed? Is there assembly required? Are batteries included? How do you make the fit and function more streamlined for your customers? Okay. Excuse me. This is design and innovation, really. I like to share this Costco example of milk cartons. So if you've shopped at Costco, or if you shop at Costco, then maybe you have saved a few cents on this gallon of milk. And if you have, then maybe you have experienced this. Okay, so this is a classic example that sticks out at me because I have experienced this pain. I have not shed tears over it as this lady is in the picture, but I have been very frustrated by it. And it says to me, fit and function, fit and function. But you know what? They are doing fit and function. Well, they're doing fit. Why do they do it? It's because they can fit more into the truck. Thus, they can get more to the warehouse and they can sell it at a lower price, right? The square milk jug allows them to fit more of them into the truck. However, there is no function to the square milk jug. So it is fit at the expense of function. So not everything's perfect. All right, so managing multiple priorities is your final product management core competency. So this is similar in being an artist manager. The product manager is, is overwhelmed, has to decide how do you keep that, symbolic wagon wheel as round as possible all the time. And this is, one of those life skills that's developed with experience. And each of you, you're graduate students, you have jobs, you have families. So there's no doubt that, you've chosen this path and you're on month 7, you'll handle it. Some tips, on success for this area that can bring you back to your project management and your brand storytelling. Think of your SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Kind of keep that in mind as you go through. I suggest sharing them with everybody and holding people accountable. I like to do this with a color-coded spreadsheet and display it on the screen at meetings. Green, everybody's good. If you've got a green, your name all and your tasks are all in green, Yellow, we're on hold. Red, something is stalled. So, nobody wants to see their name in red if you can see it in green. But, everybody has their own style of managing those priorities. So just one way of doing it. So how do you do your project? All right, so you're going to set up a framework that you see here, which this framework is also in your references. And you're going to select a cutting edge entertainment product, something that people probably haven't even seen yet, okay? Something that was newly released or people aren't really using it much yet. You're going to apply the competencies. You're going to add a brand positioning statement and an artist endorser, and then you'll be done, okay? But it's not so simple. It's going to require a lot of research, and we'll take a look at an example. Here are your product management core competencies. I do want all of these bullets actually on your slide. So make sure that all of this information here is on the slide, and you're going to kind of like fill in the blanks, so to speak. All right, so if you're looking for a cool product, you've got different places that you can look. You can look at the industry trade organizations. They always have what new products are coming out. So if you're, part of a guild of some sort, or even if you're not part of a guild, you can go on their website. If you're not part of the guild, I suggest becoming part of the guild. Student rate is usually pretty inexpensive. You can check out. So sorry. You can check out blogs of latest products. You can check out what's best in show. And you can check out, if all else fails, I have posted references for you, okay, in the class that you can select a product from. You can also call me, and I have loads of products that I'm willing to give you, of cutting edge products. All right, this is IDEO, and they make organizations, they work with organizations to design and grow products. So you can see different innovative products. These are examples of their work. So you can see what's happening out there. It's an innovation company. So an entertainment company, an entertainment product might be telling your stories with video. You can investigate that product. Design strategy. You can look through these. There's loads of different examples, okay? Different categories. I believe there's even a media and entertainment section on here. Okay, so that's another resource for you for your product. So let's take a look at an example of how a student did a really good job with this project. So they chose the Mac Pro as their product management core competency product for a student that's interested in film. Whoops, sorry. That's the beginning. Okay, so there's the 4 product competencies. Driving business results. So you can see that he's got all of the bullets on there that are required, and he's addressed each one of them. So just take a look at that. Pre-qualifying customers, targeting professional and amateur filmmakers, as well as people who are interested in Apple products. Cost drivers, it's increasing the cost to manufacture this product in the USA. Okay. Looking at the threats, which is the competition. All right. Delivering results through people. How is he focusing? How is this product focused on the customer, long-term relationships, the sales force, getting feedback? How are they communicating for the support, so on and so forth? Okay, looking at the articles that are published. See all that feedback. And that's on purpose, listening. Ensuring the market-driven direction. And this is what I'm looking at very closely. This person has done a great job in looking at research. Okay, they have census facts in there. They have reports from their industry guild, IMDb, Directors Guild, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, so make sure that you do get hard and targeted research, quantitative numbers. Guiding fit and function. What has to be? What do you have to know or have to use this product? Okay, lots of information there. New ideas for product. These can be your ideas or somebody else's ideas within the company. How are they releasing this product? It should have been fairly recently released. And a brand positioning statement. Okay. To the filmmaker, the Mac Pro is the brand of high-powered, performance-driven computer that is able to deliver the highest performance through its superior innovation and inclusive, up-to-date software package. So he's got some great images there of the computer, and he has selected an artist endorser that really fits the bill here in terms of her appealing to the Apple market and the number of awards that she's received and kind of her artist image. So you don't want to just pick anybody at random. You want to really justify, which this person has done with 6 or 7 reasons and points as to why she's done a good job. So that's an example of a project that I would consider to be superior. So kind of strive toward that. Feel free to reach out to me if you're having trouble with any of these areas. And again, if you need help with a product, I've got lots of different product ideas for you if you're having trouble finding the perfect thing. Okay, so thanks for being here, and I look forward to talking with you soon.